was going to flip that around, but we ain't gonna. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 40. Episode 40. Crazy. Can you believe that? So, I mean, It's not episode 50 or 100, but it's kind of a cool number. And it happens to be the last one of this year, in case you guys weren't aware. But this will be the last one we're going to put up for you guys until January. So we need some downtime, as you guys have asked us about before, or downtime. Yeah. Which means just less time doing something.
Well, and the reason we're not going to do next weekend is because we are processing 75 chickens and 30 turkeys.
That's right.
And the following weekend is Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And then we're into December,
we
were going to take off anyways.
Yeah, right. So before we get started today, I want to take care of a couple of housekeeping things. Housekeeping note number one is Lori is going to be keeping an eye on the comments. So if you want to say howdy, you can do that down there. So she'll be interacting with you guys from time to time. Mm-hmm. Housekeeping note number two would be what?
If you have a question, just write the word question, preferably in caps, before you state your question. That way it stands out to me and I can read it.
Correct. And housekeeping note number three is give us a thumbs up, hit that heart button. That helps us not only today, but in perpetuity as this video posts and goes onto our page. So we've got a few things we want to cover with you guys today. We do want to make sure that we get to questions because it's going to be a few weeks before we'll be able to take them again. We're going to literally transplant from fall to winter. Not meaning we're going to transplant things, but this podcast will transplant from fall to winter. So when we come back to you guys, it'll be all about pruning. So we won't really touch on that today because we'll probably spend at least a month on pruning and pruning topics, unless you guys really have something urgent that you're wanting to know about. But again, questions, I want to make sure we get to those. So we got a couple things on our list, right, that we want to cover with everybody. Mm-hmm. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen you guys.
I know. So we have the highlight of the week, which is we did chicken processing this last weekend. We did 150 chickens, and that included a workshop with about 30 people or so.
Correct. So the big thing there is the workshop. So we've done a few of those before. We took last year off because Austin was off. But we've got a clip I think we can show you guys here as we're walking through it. But it's this guy right here.
That's right. I forgot. I'm like, wait, that's right.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Going around.
Yeah, there you go. So you guys will be able to see in this clip.
Any vegans here?
There you go.
So
you guys should be able to see in this clip. That's you start out on the pasture.
We do. This is the wrong workshop.
Get an idea.
That's the wrong one.
And one of the things that we were talking about in that little clip is I was trying to describe how everybody might feel during the workshop. And, everybody has these different emotions. And one of the things that I had mentioned is we probably don't have any vegans here. And then I realized that I might. So what's really funny about that is we did have a vegetarian there that we didn't know about. And actually until after we got an interview with him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was a young guy and hadn't eaten meat, was it in 5 years?
Something like that, yeah.
So the first meat he would be eating in 5 years was going to be one of our pasture chickens.
That he was processing.
Right, that he was processing himself. And so, obviously all of the emotional things behind that we don't necessarily disagree with as far as how animals are raised in captivity and particularly chickens and pigs. All of livestock in general, but it's one of the many reasons that we raise them ourselves. And he felt strongly about that as well. And if he was going to be consuming meat, that he wanted to raise his own, which I know is his goal, and obviously go through the entire process. And he did well.
He did really good,
He did really well. So either way, it was a great event. And again, what do we have? Just over 30 people, I want to say, which is just perfect. Because we set aside 2.5 hours. We were done in 2.5 hours. So we got everybody through in that time frame and got some great feedback. And I think everybody really enjoyed it. So unique event, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Nice.
So I know we've got I want to make sure we jump into the comments here. If you guys have any questions, we can get to those here real quickly. Otherwise, we will get on our topic of today, which is our fall processes here.
Yeah. I have just, how's the weather there?
Yep. Weather.
Any frost damage? there.
So we
So
didn't.
they're from Southern California.
Okay, yeah. So we didn't quite get any frost. This morning, I think, was our coldest morning so far, and we were in the upper 30s. I didn't see any frost on the ground, and didn't have any freezing of the hoses or anything like that. So we didn't quite get down below freezing, but we were close. We were definitely bundled up. It was the coldest morning so far. I believe tomorrow morning is going to be about the same, so high 30s, and then we go back up into the low to mid 40s, maybe even a little higher than that. So one of the things that, speaking of weather, especially this fall, we're going to be touching on this here in just a few minutes, is you do need to keep an eye on the temps. And, I know some of your more frost-sensitive plants, and, for those of you guys out there, we don't do much at all in the way of tropical trees. But for those of you guys who do, it's obviously critical there. But even your Moringa plants, which, we started today, we got it on camera, but we start pruning the Moringa back, and we saw that it did get a little damage on it last night. So, that does happen once you get below 40 degrees, particularly bad if you get below 30. And you guys in the city, we definitely get below 30 out here. And you guys in the city can drop below 30, and that will kill a full-size Moringa tree. At least it can. We've had that experience. So, that would be one that you want to watch over. But yeah, no frosts here yet. So, but I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Good? We on our fall list? Perfect. We want to try to stay on schedule today so we can take any questions you guys have. So what's the topic of the question of the week? What do we got?
Fall to-do list.
Right. So, we are here in the middle of November, and we are a little cooler than you guys in the city. So keep that in mind as you hear us talking through some of these things. We're about 5 to 6 degrees cooler than you guys. Like I said, we were down in the 30s today. You guys were in the 40s still. So, but here in the fall, there are a few things that we try to get accomplished, and it's over the next few weeks. So what I wanted to do is kind of give you guys an idea of what we're going to be doing over the next 6 weeks or so until you guys see us again. Because there are some things that we do. We shut down social media just because it's so time consuming for us. So we can focus on some of those things. And you guys had asked us about downtime, and the closest thing we get to downtime are really the month of December, because we're very busy the next 2 weeks. But once we get through this, we do try to take some time off in December, right?
Yeah, and obviously we still have the animals and have to take care of everything, but it's taking a break from having to do video filming and editing, and then also any major projects.
Right. So we do scale back on that quite a bit. So back to the list. If you can click on that for me. So what I want to do is I want to kind of walk you guys through it. The first one is Moringa. We had just talked about that. So a lot of you guys out there I know have Moringa. This is also more critical if you have tropical trees, because it can be this kind of the same problem. But you have the issue with frost. So, anytime in the next really couple of months, we could easily see frost. You can easily dip down into freezing temperatures. So protecting all of the delicate plants for the next several weeks is very, very critical. And you do need to start keeping an eye on that right now. There's some downtime. So that would be the first thing. If you guys have tropical trees, if you see that the temps are going to get down into the low 30s, definitely the upper 20s, you need to make sure you're adding some supplemental heat in addition to covering them. Typically, covering is enough for most of your plants, but for your more delicate tropical trees, you're going to probably need to add some supplemental heat. Now, that typically doesn't happen for us here until January or February. So it's not that you can't see it in December. You don't typically see it in November, but you could still see it in the fall. And then, of course, if you guys are in higher elevations, you definitely could see it. So that would be the first thing. The next thing on the list for us is stripping leaves. So we've had this, usually we've gotten videos out a few times in the past, but we really do spend the month of December defoliating all of our deciduous trees. So, that is something that we'll do several a day. We do them in the evenings. We'll do them on the weekends, whenever we can squeeze in some time. I don't know, for me, I know it's a little cathartic and it's kind of relaxing, to just go out there, because you're kind of concentrating on it, but not. And so you can just kind of zone out, and you get some of the fall leaves, and it's cool and crisp out there. You might even get a little bit of rain. We've had times out there where there's a little bit of mist, and it just doesn't. It feels like you transplanted to someplace another place. And so we will strip the leaves. That's all the deciduous trees. So your pome fruit, which is apples, pears, things like that. Your stone fruit, which is your peaches, your plums, your apricots, all of your hybrids. Also all of your nut trees. So for us, that would be almonds, pistachios, also the pecan trees. Those will start, haven't quite all browned up yet. They're hanging in there. But so all of those things, we wind up stripping the leaves. Now, we do that for two main reasons. The first one is for pruning, so that we're able to come back, end of December, we start pruning. We want to be able to clearly see the scaffold branches and the rest of the branching, so we can easily see where we need to make pruning cuts. It makes it very easy, or much easier, to see all of your dead branches or dying branches. You can easily see when branches are crossing. When you have leaves on there, it's much more difficult to do that. And then, of course, having leaves on those branches, part of the pruning process is putting those through a chipper. And if they have leaves on there, it will bog the chipper down. So we like to use the Sunjo chipper. Still is our go-to chipper, even here on this farm. And it's a smaller chipper, and it can bog down if it has too many leaves in there. So we strip those leaves out. And of course, you have beautiful mulch by leaving those leaves right there in place. And then, of course, the other main reason is for chill hours. Now, I can't say for certain that stripping the leaves off of the tree will help to increase the chill hours on the tree. All I can tell you from observation, if you guys have ever seen this before, is, and I saw this on the old farm, we had frosts, and that occurred overnight. And I was looking out at the orchard, and you could see a solid layer of white all the way across the wood chips, except for all the areas immediately underneath the trees. So we went through, stripped all the leaves off, and the following morning there was frost throughout the orchard. So you could see the frost had penetrated that. There was no canopy. And so obviously frost on those branches should be able to give you a little bit more chill hours. At least that's my theory.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's true, I'm not sure. But I can tell you, we've been doing that since the old farm. We do it consistently. And you guys see we get a lot of really good production here. So, and we had bees on the farm last year, but prior to that, we didn't. So it wasn't necessarily that we had a lot of pollinators. In my opinion, I think it's just that extra chill time. So, but either way, that is what we are doing now as well. So that would be a fall task. And then it is what's the last one that I had on that list?
Cut way back on irrigation. So every other week or less instead of every week.
Yep. So we had talked, I think last time we were here, we were talking about the fall irrigation schedule. We've been on a once per week irrigation schedule, I think up until this week. We've got a little bit of warmer weather coming in here, so I may let irrigation go next weekend, but probably not. So we'll probably be on an every other week or less irrigation schedule starting now. And main reasons why, obviously, much shorter days. So you're not dealing with as much evaporation because you don't have the intense sunlight for as long during the day. And then the potential for some higher humidity. We had already seen that today, even though we didn't get rain last night. This morning we had about 70% humidity, which is very high for us. And so you do start seeing, especially getting into the winter months, where you might see some additional humidity. So I look at all of those things, and then of course rainfall. So if we get any rainfall, we stop watering completely. Last winter, I believe we watered twice for about a 3 to 4 month period. And so this is a great opportunity to really make sure that you're not wasting water. Now, will it hurt the trees? Probably not. As long as you're doing what we do with irrigation, you're irrigating away from the trunk, so you're irrigating on the drip line. You've got heavy mulch on the ground, so you're building soil, and it's helping to maintain soil temperature, especially in the wintertime. A foot of mulch, it's a lot warmer underneath that mulch than it is on the top. So those roots are going to continue to grow during the wintertime, and of course you're going to continue to build soil, albeit more slowly, over the wintertime. So, but I would just be cautious with that, because a tree that is dormant is not going to be utilizing that water. And so, so you could have issues there. And of course, if you're getting any moisture, you could have too much moisture in the soil, which could cause rot. So you need to be careful with that as well. So is that it for our list?
I think so.
I think the other thing that we have when it comes to the fall, we had talked about it a little briefly, is downtime. I know one of the reasons that we kind of shut down YouTube is we've been doing that for the last few years. And the reality is, you guys are busy just like we are. You've got the holiday season. I think, there's a lot less going on around the farm because because nature, we finish our chickens. We're going to finish our turkeys this coming weekend. And, and we're all busy. So, we noticed really, really quickly that it didn't matter what we were posting. Folks weren't watching. And for the most part, you guys don't come back in January and watch things we were posting the month before. So, so that's really the reason why. And it's the closest we get to downtime. Yeah. We don't, I will tell you, we were discussing this morning and we wanted to bring this topic up because folks have asked us here, what we do in our downtime, and there really isn't any. Joel Salatin posted something yesterday. He was talking about the fact that, and he doesn't want to, it's a lifestyle that you choose. And when you do what we're doing, especially with livestock, they're dependent on you. So, that doesn't change. Every single day, you need to clean out pens. You need to give them water or make sure they have water. You need to make sure they're fed. You need to make sure they're cared for if something's going on. So, we obviously we let out. Certain animals we let out during the day, and then we keep them safe at night by locking them up in kennels and whatnot. So those things continue. We just back off on some of the larger projects. We try not to do any, even though there's still things we need to get done. But, it's just we do less of it. What I will say, if for those of you guys wanting to do something like this is realize that this is your life. Salatin yesterday was posting about the fact that they haven't gone on a serious vacation in decades. Yeah. They don't go out to eat, which I think it's a good idea anyway, to not go out to eat for a lot of different reasons. But, they don't do those things. Their life is centered and revolves around, in their opinion, in my opinion, real life. Yeah. Right. Truly real life. It's, this farm feeds us and feeds other families here. And so, but either way, we do step back just a little bit. We usually get a little bit more time. We'll get a few hours a day on the weekends, at least, for us to do other things, which usually is still planning for the spring. Yeah.
It's usually here on the property.
Yep, it usually is. Something. Usually is. So that's, for the most part, that's our fall. That's what we're looking at here for the next several weeks, since we won't see you guys here after today until January, when everything fires back up again. Now you guys get an idea of what we'll be doing. So what do we have? Questions?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
First one, what is the drink of the day? And
I don't have one.
I just have some wine. Dwayne doesn't, but I have apricot wine.
Oh, let me have some of that.
You said you didn't want any.
I lied.
All right, and so you were talking about
you can taste the apricot in that too.
I know, it's so good. You were talking about the Moringas, and so Dirt Life Easy, their Moringas died in the frost last winter, and they're going to try and keep them as shrubs and low so they can cover them easier. Perfect.
Yep. So you guys will see us next weekend. We should have a vlog next weekend. Then we're going to skip a week because we're not going to have time to film anything. And then you guys will get our year-ending vlog, which I think will be a kind of a cool one that we have planned. But today we were just printing our Moringa back. And if you guys haven't seen it, what we do with that, we always keep the trunk of the Moringa. We use a 3-foot tall hardware cloth. And we have a 6-foot long piece that we roll into a cylinder. We keep that around, the trunk is centered in that cylinder. We make sure we head it back. We just headed back half of them this morning. So we head them back so that it's below the top of the cylinder. And then we cover that with some burlap. Mm-hmm. So a 6-foot by 6-foot square of burlap will work. We hold it in place with clothespins, and we just leave it there all winter. Mm-hmm. So we don't touch it. If you guys get particularly cold, like down to 20, maybe below that, you may need to add some mulch into that cylinder, which you can also do. Mm. So, leaves and things like that, you can mulch that if you feel you need to. We got down into the mid-20s last year, and they were all fine. I think we only had the one that died, and that was just because we started it too late.
Yeah, and it was tiny.
Yeah, it was too small. So, but yeah, that's really, covering it is the key.
Yep. Yeah. All right, with fertilizing, when it is time, do you prefer one type of compost for specific tree plants? So pig poop for trees, chicken poop for veggie planter, etc., or is it any poop can go anywhere?
Right. So it's funny. Any poop can go anywhere. So we do have a couple of things that. Okay, take a step back. I'll start with pig manure. So the pig manure we compost for about 6 months, and then we start using it at that point, but it also ages. It takes a full season. So about half of that's been composting for about a year. So it breaks down quite a bit. That we use on all of the stone fruit, the mulberries, the pome fruit, the figs, our nut trees. I think that might be it. So that's what we use, the composted pig manure. The chicken manure we use on our evergreen trees, and we also utilize that around the grapevines and also on the pear trees, right?
The pear trees, we do a combination of the pig manure and the chicken manure.
Okay.
But yeah, then the grapevines, just chicken manure, and then all of our evergreens up front.
Or just chicken manure. Yeah. And the reason being the chicken manure is higher in nitrogen, and those trees needing more nitrogen than the other trees do. And we found that that's very effective. So if you guys are not using manure or compost, then any of your fruit tree fertilizers are going to really have a combination of probably what we're getting from those two. You're going to get all of your NPK in there in a decent one. Well, all of them have NPK. In a decent one, you'll get some of your minerals and some of these other things. But as long as any one of those will work fine. So, yeah.
Do you, and this is Michael, and you're talking about downtime, but asking about traveling to Alaska. I thought that you was talking about it a few months ago.
Right. So we actually, it's an old promise that I gave to Austin, which now is transferring over to Austin and Nikki. So we eventually we're going to take them on an Alaskan cruise. So we're trying to figure out when that's going to be. I know they had talked about maybe trying to get pregnant, and so we weren't sure about next summer because she doesn't want to travel when she's pregnant.
Yeah,
so
it was going to be this past spring, but they had a house that was being built, so we put it off because we didn't know when they were going to be just moving into their house about that time.
So we have
getting pushed off.
We have another short window before pigs are on the farm. So the big pigs are on the farm. Those go to the processor in February and March, and then we have to do deliveries in April, sometimes into May, and then everything it's just busy. So we've got kind of the month of June is another month where we have a little bit of downtime, and it's nasty here, and that's usually when some of those fire up. So we're assuming that at some point in the month of June, whether it's next year or another year, we're going to try to sneak away for a week. So we'll see if we can do that. So I would love to do that.
Is it too late in the season to plant a small tangelo tree?
I would say probably it probably is still okay. If you're in the city, real high probability you guys won't see any serious frost for a few more weeks. We pretty much have stopped here. We did do a transplant that we're going to share with you guys next week, but we do pretty much shut down planting at this point. And the main reason why is because we can get frost. Now, if you're going to do heavy mulch and things like that, you're probably just fine. But at this point, I'd probably keep it potted until spring. It's your citrus trees in particular thrive during our summer times, just like they do in the spring and they do into the fall. And obviously they're producing your ripening fruit in the wintertime. So they're always busy. But you can give a little too much shock, and depending especially on the variety, which can be frost sensitive, like your pomelos are frost sensitive, some of your mandarins are frost sensitive, your limes are frost sensitive. So there's a few of those in there that are a little more frost sensitive. I think I would be cautious putting that in the ground right now. But you're probably going to be okay if you do. Yeah.
So just brought out the waste oil heaters for in-ground bonsai. Do you heat?
Yeah, so to add heat. So you want heat protection. So you might need to get one of those smudge pots for your mango tree. I don't know if we've shared that with everybody or not.
We have not shared that with everybody.
Oh yeah, let's not get into that today. All right, what's next?
Do you cover your banana tree during night or so?
You can answer that one.
So yes, when we get to freezing temperatures, we do cover the banana tree overnight. So, and then don't uncover it until it's above any freezing temperatures.
Yep. So we just covered it though. So no supplemental heat, and it dies back pretty good.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to tell that it's still alive. So it probably would do better if we did add supplemental heat, but we're not gonna. That's not gonna happen.
Do you usually wake up so early as in summer months or a little bit later?
So yes and no. So I still get up. I'm still up by 2:30 or 3 in the morning because I work out in the morning and then go to work. So I'm gone Monday through Friday. So I'm gone from the farm for about 55 hours a week, and I leave here. What is it? Just before 5 in the morning to get downtown. So I'm always up. But I will say we do sleep in a little bit more on the weekends, and I think we're sleeping until about 3:30 or so.
Yeah, 3:30, 4.
Sometimes 4. It's hard to. It's best to keep your same schedule. So you want to try to. What I understand is you want to try to wake up within an hour. So if you're going to push anything back, or forward on yourself during in a week or any given day, is that you want to wake up within about the same hour. So I really try to focus on that. So if I'm up at 2:30 or 3 on the weekends, I try not to get up later than an hour past that. So, and then this time of year we can fudge a little bit. And it wouldn't be the first time that I woke up and then on the couch I might doze off before the sun comes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit more rest that way this time of year. It's nice.
So when outdoor temperatures are below 84, nights below 55, you can use leaves as insulation because they shouldn't heat up too far over 90.
There you go, because they're not going to compost.
Yeah, I think, talking about the... some of my Moringa grew great, 8 feet tall, 3-inch trunks. Others had to replant them late July, are much smaller. Will packing the cage with chips help them make it through?
Yeah, so just be cautious with the chips. Those can hold the moisture quite a bit, and you don't want anything rotting. So, leaves would probably be better. I definitely wouldn't use grass or something that's holding moisture. So make sure that if it's wood chips, they're completely dry. You don't want moisture in there. So that would kind of be the key. But yeah, especially on the smaller ones, you might need to. I think the one that we lost last year, we planted, I believe, at the beginning of August. So it was about the same time frame. And even though it was a decent sized trunk, I think it was about 1 inch in diameter, maybe just under that, it wound up dying. And the one we have growing this year that we planted at the end of June, it's 7 feet tall, 1.5 inch diameter trunk. So we'll see how it does. So we're going to cover it here soon, within a week or two. So we'll see how ours does, but I don't plan on packing that with anything. So, but it wouldn't hurt as long as you have something that's completely dry and it stays that way. That's the key, because you don't want that moisture right on the trunk.
Bob had stated that he'd be fearful of planting citrus right now. 0% success rate in 9B.
Yeah, I would be cautious with it too. I think you're just pushing too close into our frost time frame. I mean, we almost had frost this morning here. You guys were about 5 degrees away from it in the city. So yeah, I think you might be able to get away with it. But again, I would wait until spring. Yeah. There's really not a good reason to plant it right now. It's really not going to grow much, if at all the winter. You might get some root growth, but you plant it in the spring, it's going to burst into life immediately. And when I say spring, I mean past the last frost date. So for you guys in the city, that's the middle of February. So you're only looking at a couple of months from now. And so it doesn't hurt to hang on to it. Keep it in a pot so you can keep it protected, and then drop it in early March. Yeah.
So if you get up that early, what time do you go to bed?
Early. So by 8 o'clock, right? I would say usually between 7 and 8 is when we're in bed. And, last night we stayed up for the Tyson fight. And, boy, I don't know about you guys, but that was a letdown.
I know.
The 2 fights before it were fantastic. I guess that's what made it worse.
I think it's like 2 hours before their fight was even coming on, and we had watched the couple, and it's like we were so committed at that point that we were going to stay up and watch this fight, and it just got later and later and later. Yeah. And then to be let down.
Yeah, it was. It's saying it was a letdown is being nice. But anyway, so last night we went to bed a little bit later, but yeah, usually 7 to 8. If it's 8 o'clock, like both of us are.
I'm passed out.
Passed out
Yeah, I'm usually headed to bed by about 7.
Yeah. And when you think about it, so, for most folks, they're getting up about 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's say that's your typical time frame. So and they're going to bed at 10. So you just got to slide everything back 3 hours. So, 7 o'clock is basically our bedtime because we're getting up at 3. So
yeah.
It's the same. And we try to get about 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
We're getting too old.
I sleep horrible.
8 hours of solid sleep does not happen. I'm going to get up to go to the bathroom at least once, number one. and then, yeah, something is aching, something's hurting. My mind's just working through too many things. And yeah, but either way, we're in bed for about 7 to 8. How about that? We're in bed for 7 to 8 hours.
There you go. Yeah. Have you ever planted in January also?
Yes. So bare root. So your bare root trees, your better online nurseries will start shipping to us here in Arizona in January. And like groworganic.com, I know is really good about that. At least in our experience, Planting Justice, I want to say was as well. But if you're ordering bare root trees, or it needs to be ordered at this point. We've got some on order now. But those typically come in January and or February, but they're bare root trees. So they're completely dormant. They come in as bare root trees, and those you want to get in the ground immediately because you want those in the ground, settled before they kick off come spring. So that would be the exception. But yeah, tree-wise, there's nothing else we've stopped planting trees at this point. So, and we won't plant trees again besides bare root trees. We won't plant anything again until March, early March. Yep.
Did you try some pawpaw trees?
No, we haven't tried those here. And we've had a few folks that have come to the farm that are from the South, and it was very, very consistent and said they probably won't make it. And the reason is they need humidity. They need humidity. So, they simply won't do well or live out without it being humid. And so it's not something I want to try to replicate. I'm not going to put misters out there with a tree. So no, and it's not on our plans. I will also tell you, we tried one. Do you remember trying that one pawpaw?
That was horrible.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry if you like them. I wasn't crazy about it. Maybe it wasn't completely ripe.
It was completely ripe.
Was it?
Oh yeah, it was completely ripe. Yep. And it's funny because I don't remember where that family was from. Somewhere in the South, and they had brought this sweet couple, but actually I think they had the kids with them. Either way, they brought us a couple of them, and I don't know whether we tried one with them. I don't think we did, but yeah, it was and they told us it was completely ripe, so we needed to eat them within a few days. We ate them that same day, and no, absolutely not. It was. I mean, we've talked a little bit on this channel about things that taste like feet. I'm not going to say those tasted like feet, but they were getting there. And I think the consistency was tough because it was like custard. And I think they even said that it's like custard. And man, I don't know. You have an issue with texture. So
I have a texture. Yeah.
Yeah. Like slimy. I mean, and I love my sushi. But slimy like that, no, I'll pass. We had, what was the other tropical fruit? Was it sapote? I think it was sapote or something else being it. I gagged on it trying to eat it. And it reminded me of that.
That's
a little bit
funny.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, so follow up as far as the like the wood chips, and you said to do leaves in the cages for the Moringa.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Sarah. How about pine shavings instead of wood chips? Then they don't have leaves. Mm-hmm. They're still trying to work on getting their trees planted. Yes,
Sarah, that would be fine. Pine shavings would be perfect because assuming that they're dry, so you're not pulling them off a tree. But yeah, if you have pine shavings, those would be fine because those are ultra dry. I mean, those are like super, super dry. And that's because they're used as bedding. So yeah, the pine shavings would be fine. Pine needles as well. So if you have pine needles that are dry, pine needles would be fine as well. Mm-hmm. And so once those do fall, because if you're letting them fall later, those will eventually break down and give you some acidity, which we can all use.
Yeah.
What else?
So do you have a root cellar or something like that? Oh. So I wish we had a root cellar or something underground to keep a good harvest school.
We don't. And I agree. I would love that too. It would need to be pretty deep. So we wouldn't be able to go down, 10 feet. We'd probably need to go down 20 feet or more. So we don't. Could we eventually do something like that? Maybe if we could figure out how to keep monsoon rains out of it. But no, we don't. I would love it. I think more than anything, I would love it for the wine.
That's the
Right?
first thing I thought of. I was
So,
like, yeah.
yep, our
Good.
wine,
Yeah.
like, it ages way too fast. And so, it oxidizes. There's so many things that happen with wine because, we're 80 degrees here during the summertime. So, it's beautiful in there now, 70 degrees, still too warm for wine, So I would really like it for that. And I don't want to get a refrigerator for the wine. And we're not that into wine that, we would have a fridge. But I would love it for that. So, yeah.
So, Dwayne, how do you know what feet tastes like? Says no answer needed.
Yeah, none. I can only assume because of the smell. Maybe I should specify. It's that smell. You get those stanky feet. Okay, maybe not that bad, but in my mind, I'm thinking that. So
Yeah. And then Sarah, look at the post from Bob the Slacker. So he was talking about mulch and pine shavings. And then, have you been growing your own grapes, and what varieties?
Oh, yes. So we have several types of grapes. We got some new ones that we're going to be bringing in this year. Ooh, another wine grape that I think might be a really good white wine grape. I'm excited for it. But we do. In fact, we just pulled out the Syrah today because we've been struggling with Syrah. I wouldn't suggest Syrah. So it really struggled for us. But we have Cabernet. We have Zinfandel for wines. We've got another white wine that we're bringing in. We have the Flame, the Thompson, and the Manuka. And then we've got a couple other ones I wouldn't suggest. And I don't even remember what the varieties are. They're all seeded, and they're okay, but nothing special.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are...
so depending on like what you're looking for, table grapes or wine grapes.
Yep, table grapes, your best bets, Flame and Thompson. And then the wine grapes that we found, the Zinfandel so far has been the best wine grape. Hands down, it's been the best one. The Cabernet struggles a little bit. In hindsight, would I do the Cabernet? Maybe not. And so that's 10 vines that we got back there.
Yeah.
And that wine has been disappointing so far every year. So next year is like the peak, age-wise, they go into that kind of their peak production, and because they're considered mature at 4 years, and these will be 4 years old. So we'll see how they do next year. I'm hopeful. I think we thinned the branching and leaves out a little bit too much this year. I don't think that helped. I think they need a bit more shade. We learned that from another vineyard in Texas that had given us that note when they saw us pruning them back, said it probably was a little too far. So so we'll see if we can get that one to do better. Yeah.
Do you grow walnuts?
No, we don't grow any walnuts. I'm not aware of a walnut that actually does well down here. So there's a couple that I think will do better a little further north, only because they need a lot more chill hours than we're going to get here. So, but there was one, I was a black walnut or something else that supposedly could survive here, but I haven't seen or heard from anybody that is actually getting any production off of one. So,
All right, I think we're caught up.
hey,
And
nice.
what do we?
We got some bonus. We got our Did You Know?
Oh.
What was it? I don't remember.
Tallow
Yeah. This is you.
re-rendering.
Yep. All you. Go for it. Speaking of tallow, what'd you do?
Well, so we raise pigs, and so we've for years now have rendered down the pig fat to have for lard, and so I had never done beef tallow, and so I have been working on that this week and learning that you don't just render it down one time, especially if you're wanting to use it for like any cosmetic type thing. So I want to make a moisturizer with it, as well as we'll use some for cooking. But to get that excess moisture out of it, you just keep rendering it down over and over and over. So you render it down, you put it in the fridge to solid, and keep rendering it down.
Scrape off any.
Scrape off any
So it clarifies more.
Yep,
So
exactly. And it's supposed to start getting rid of that kind of smell too, because sometimes they have like a little bit of a beefy smell.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. It is beef fat.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to having it also for cooking. And we go through a lot. We finish about 16 to 18 head of cattle each year. And obviously we don't do that here. We got a friend of ours that finishes our cattle for us. but we sell about 16 to 18 a year, and so and not everybody wants the fat back, and so if somebody doesn't ask for that back, we've been getting it back. So because it's not part of the most of it's not part of the numbers that they pay for. So we had a box or two, I think.
I have one box of it. So so I've been wanting to render it down, and biggest thing is I want to make a face moisturizer with it. So
my biggest thing is I want to cook with it.
I know.
I'm not worried about the moisturizer. Sorry. That's a man and a woman opinion there, but we can both use it. So fun fact, McDonald's, that used to be what they cooked their fries in until like the 90s, I believe. And then they went to the stuff that gives us heart disease.
Yeah.
Go figure.
I know.
But so I'm looking forward to getting back to that. We've been doing lard, had the same issues with it not getting completely solid. So we're gonna see if we can do a couple renderings on that as well, right? To try to get some
make
moisture
sure
out.
we get all the moisture out. Yeah.
Right. That way it's more shelf stable, because we're trying to get it to the point that it's shelf stable. And but I'm just looking forward to some healthy fats. I don't know about you guys, but you guys do a little bit of research on seed oils, and it gets interesting. We'll just say that. And we've been focused on eating healthy fats, more of them. It's a bigger part of our diet. I feel fantastic, and we don't do real keto. We do low carb. I think that's the best way to describe it, right? So we do more protein than would be on a keto diet, and a good amount of fat. So we're I would say about 40 to 45% fat, 40 to 45% protein, and then about 10% carbs, if that.
Oh, if that.
Yeah, if that. And I feel very good. And my workouts are fantastic. And, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm about 50 pounds lighter today than I was at my peak. And nobody here saw me at 185. So I think most people don't even realize that. They might just think that, most people that know me don't know me anything other than, a thin guy that, might get a little chunky around the waist every once in a while if he's eating too many carbohydrates. But yeah. So, I mean, I'm at a lower weight now than I was in high school, and I feel better. So I will tell you it works. So when we're looking at these different fats that we can make here and we make them here, we're raising these animals. So, we know that we've got a higher quality fat that we're using as well. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Me too. I'm excited to make my moisturizer.
Yeah, yep.
I'm excited to put beef fat on my face.
This is fun. I love you so much. Oh, I love it. That's a real woman right there. I want to put some beef fat on my face.
Some beef fat on my face. Oh my goodness.
Man, the vegans right now are just cringing.
Sorry.
Sorry, guys. No, I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Not in that regard.
Yeah. So I'd be willing to buy some beef tallow from people I know are taking care of their animals. Yeah. And there's I know I see a lot of people on some of the Facebook, like homestead groups and stuff that are looking for, beef tallow, and people that do raise cattle and stuff usually have it available.
And if you can find a local producer of beef, even if they're larger operations, it's better than the stuff you're going to get from the store. Yeah. I'm sorry, it just is. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So I'm not sure what this means. Yeah, I don't want to beetroot gyno.
I'm not sure what that is.
Bob, I don't know what that means. Did you sometimes try to ferment your citrus for wine?
Oh, no. We haven't done any citrus. So the guy who was my mentor, he's since passed away. But he was my mentor for winemaking and had been doing it for a long time. And he had made, I don't remember if it was an orange or a grapefruit.
I think it was grapefruit.
Might have been grapefruit. Mm-hmm. And he said that was the best one that he had done a few. That he said that one turned out the best, and he still wasn't a fan. And I remember trying it; it was just too much.
Yeah.
So I think it's just they're too acidic, and wines are acidic, so they already are. It was a little bit too much, mm-hmm. And of course his were very dry, and mm-hmm. I think you'd have to back sweeten it quite a bit, which we're not doing anymore. So I don't think we're going to try that.
Yeah.
No. Good.
Yep.
Hey, I think we're to this spot. So we want to do a taste test. We'll still get to questions, but I want to do a taste test. So I think we might have shown this to you guys last time. So that is a Waddell pear. I believe last time we were here, I showed this to you guys and we had just picked it off the tree. So this has been ripening on the counter, which you need to do with your European pears. This has been ripening on the counter now for 2 weeks. And I think last time we were here, I can still kind of see it on the camera. There's a little bit of a green tinge there, but most of the green tinge is gone and got a nice golden down on the bottom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this open. Lori's going to talk to you guys and entertain you while I try not to slice my finger off. But I'm going to cut this open. We can try it here on camera. What do you say?
Sure. Right. What am I supposed to talk about here?
You just keep everybody entertained.
I have no idea what to say, you guys, because he didn't give me a heads up on this.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and our Waddell pears are getting devoured by birds. So we're hoping that this is ripe so that we can just go harvest the rest of them that are not, that haven't been attacked yet, because we're about to lose all of them, I think.
Yeah, I know that we had, here you go. Here, I'm just going to do pieces. So there's a quarter of one. I don't think it's going to get too much of me on the camera, so it's not going to focus on that for you guys. But a little bit of moisture. I'm a little concerned with this because I don't see a whole lot of moisture coming out of there. And it was still pretty hard. So
George, I should have talked about the dogs.
I can't tell. Not quite. Right? What do you think?
God, it's so close, but yeah, it's still. This one is supposed to be soft, not crunchy, right?
Correct. It should be normal pear.
Yeah, it's a little too crunchy still. Tastes good though.
I'll tell you what, it's just really mellow. So obviously it doesn't have enough of the sugar on there yet. Here, I'm gonna try another piece. No, not bad though.
No, the taste is really good.
So-
But George had said to talk about the dogs. So the dogs are doing really good. We have Sasha, so we have them in separate kennels because neither one of them are fixed yet. And I scheduled Sasha's about 2 months ago, and Monday she goes in to get her to get fixed. And so we've been letting them out to be together but supervised. So it'll be nice to get them out more on the property after at least one of them is fixed.
That it?
I have a feeling that you want to talk, so.
No.
Oh.
I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think I do.
But
You spend the time with them.
they're doing great. Maverick is still very skittish and scared of Dwayne half the time. Sasha is full of energy. So, but she's getting massive. You would not think that she's only 5 months old.
Have no idea.
You would think that she is a full-grown dog.
That's
and
the breed.
She's not even close.
No, she looks like her dad, who's a Kangal, and is the size of one.
Yeah.
I mean, she's big. When
big.
she likes to jump up, we're still trying to break her that, but when she stands up, she was standing up last night on the kennel, and her face, she was looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was looking at me, and so
when
she's
she
almost
stands
6
up
foot
full,
tall.
She's
standing up.
almost as tall as
Yep. So yeah, she's not done yet. Her paws are still massive.
crazy.
And she eats like it too. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. So Maverick, he's always been skittish around me. I don't know. We don't know the breeder that we got him from. We were really struggling trying to find a breeder that was down here. We wanted to get it from somebody who was here in Arizona. And so one of the livestock pages, the guy that we got him from posted on one of the livestock pages. And
No, I found that on Craigslist.
right? Oh, was it Craigslist? There you go. So that might be the problem. But he was on an acre, 2 acres?
Property out in like Cave Creek.
Cave Creek, yep. So, similar to ours, but he's always been really, really skittish around me. So it makes me concerned that, he might have either been abused or neglected or something. I mean, he was only, 10 weeks old or 12
weeks old when we got him.
12 weeks old. But it's either that or he's just really scared of men. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So, Sasha, on the other hand, loves me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, she's like all over it. But yeah, they're getting big. So feed, we're going to talk about that in the vlog that posts next week. But you're going to share everybody with your feeding regimen for them.
Well, we want to feed them as much as we can raw. Obviously, we won't do 100% because They do better when they have a little bit of dry food also. Just don't have the runs as much, I guess. But yeah, so we have all kinds of stuff because we just did the chicken processing workshop, and so we saved all the feets and heads and all the feet, all the feet, heads, obviously the hearts, the livers, and then chicken itself. So they eat raw. They eat the bones on that, and then we have the hearts and stuff from the beef and. So they get a little bit of everything right now.
Yep. From time to time, they get some ground beef, ground pork. So they do get a lot of raw, and they're eating all of it. So they're eating organs, they're eating bones, they're eating the meat. So they're getting all of those things. Skin, so the skin from the chickens, feet from the chickens. So you're getting a lot of collagen, more bone there. So they're getting just a fantastic, and they're thriving on it. They're thriving on it. So literally, Sasha devours it.
Oh my goodness, that girl eats. And it's like, I know I need to feed them so much as far as like when Sasha was 40 pounds, it's supposed to be 2 pounds of food a day. And so, but I don't have a scale to keep weighing her, and she's just getting bigger and bigger. So I have to kind of guess as far as how much to feed her. Well,
you're about to find out how heavy she is on Monday. So
True.
They'll weigh her when she goes in for that.
True.
But yeah, they're doing great.
Is it difficult to switch from normal diet to keto or low carb, especially in the beginning?
It is in the beginning. So I struggled with it a little bit. So I will tell you, we had a fairly clean diet, but it had a lot of carbohydrates in it still, a lot. So we weren't adding a lot of extra sugar, but sugar was still in there. A lot of it was in there. We were probably on 200 to 300 grams of carbohydrates a day. And that was still eating clean, meaning, fruit and things like that, but we had a little bit of bread in the diet. We had some other things in the diet that were adding sugar, and just kind of the normal living, right? So in the very beginning, I want to say for the first week or two, I was having stomach issues, and I always have kind of had common for me to get indigestion, and so I was concerned about that. And then fats have always been a problem for me. So I would always get indigestion when I would eat a lot of fats, and kind of an upset sour stomach, and it wasn't good. And I stopped eating dairy for the most part. It stopped eating dairy. So I was eating very, very limited amounts of dairy. It was like a little bit of cheese maybe shaved into something. And so I always really struggled with fat. So when we first started, I was sick to my stomach for probably about a week. I actually got sick, like got a cold, COVID kind of cold. And so the whole thing, chills and all that kind of stuff for the first week or two. And then that went away. And what I noticed is all of a sudden I was able to eat fats for the first time in my adult life, at least that I remember. And so, and all of a sudden I was craving it. And we do two things. First thing is we are doing intermittent fasting. So we only eat from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that was the first thing. So before we started really doing heavily on the lower carb, we did that first. So we started doing the fasting first, and then started feeling really good with that. Stopped getting indigestion, stopped getting acid reflux. Once we started adding the other fats in there, both of us, you're not hungry all the time. You're not feeling like you have to constantly eat. It wasn't uncommon we're already kind of skipping lunch, even though we start eating at 9 a.m, but it's not uncommon to go to 10 or 11 o'clock and you're not as hungry. And that's because, the food that you're eating is a lot more calorie and nutrient dense. And then I started working out and doing some other things, a little more activity, and realized all of a sudden that my appetite was picking up, and I was craving protein and fat. And I have no desire to eat carbohydrates. And when I do, I got to be careful, because if I do, I'll get some indigestion, and I don't get it at all eating those high fat foods. So I can eat cheese all day long. Not that it's good. That's good to eat cheese all day, I don't think. Although we have a fair amount. Cream's not a problem. We make a keto ice cream that's actually really, really good. Have no problems with that at all. So it's changed drastically. But that first couple of weeks is rough because your body's just getting used to it. But my indigestion's gone. I mean, when's the last time you got like
Oh my
acid
goodness.
reflux or something.
I don't remember.
It's been a long time,
Yeah.
and I was really concerned about that. But yeah, it goes away and the cravings go away. It takes some time, but the cravings go away. And I just have no desire for just regular food because I know I won't feel good. Just won't. Yeah.
Regular food. It is regular food.
Regular food. There's a reason why the standard American diet is sad.
Have you tried the silver red bird scare tape?
No, we tried scare tape, not that color though. So we tried
It
scare.
was silver.
It was. I guess it wasn't red.
It wasn't red. It was silver.
Yeah, silver. But yeah, we tried that a few times. We tried it a handful of times, and it hasn't worked for us. So I don't know why, but we haven't had it work. We had it. I know we put it in the pasture that one time. We even tried it there, and have tried it in the trees, and it hasn't seemed to do anything for us.
Yeah.
So.
We'll have to try it again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any indoor animals?
No, and the main reason is I have allergies to cats and dogs. So I know we've got them here, and I love them, and I spend time with them outside. And as soon as I'm done petting them, I wash my hands.
Yeah.
Dead air.
Sorry, I didn't know if you're continuing talking. So Kim had got some pears that were still hard, and she made a pear cobbler.
Hey, there you go. That actually probably would do really well with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Do you do grafting, budding? I've got extra tape. Could you use some?
No, we don't. We buy finished products. I just don't have a desire to take the time to learn how to do it, and we don't need to do it here.
Yeah.
So
I don't have the time to do it here.
no. So at some point we probably should learn just to know. I don't know how to do it. So yeah, just something that we haven't done. So we buy the trees, and then I'm a bigger fan of fruit.
Yeah.
Of harvesting.
Have you ever tried growing hazelnut trees?
No.
So they live down in, is it Cochise County?
Mm-hmm. Nope, haven't tried it. So I don't know how they would do. It might be worth trying. So, the pecan, hopefully they're nothing like pecan trees because the pecan trees are not doing good. But I thought about it. We don't have the space for it. So, and it would require irrigation for us here. And we're about tapped out on what we can legally do on this farm as far as irrigated plants. So,
Yeah. So if you were eating mostly meat and fat, what does a typical meal look like? You have a lot of fruit trees, so how does that play into it?
yeah, I know. It is a little different today.
When we planted all these fruit trees, this was not our diet.
No, and we still do smoothies, so we still do some of those. I will tell you that we don't get as concerned about animals eating the fruit anymore. And we haven't shared this with you guys technically yet about kind of the direction we're going to take with pruning and what we're going to allow the fruit trees to do going forward. But we do make wine. And so
Yeah, so we still harvest, and I think the biggest thing is that we will still eat our fruit, but we will focus on like what is ripe at the time. So
Right.
we won't go to the store and buy fruit and have whatever fruit. So and everything's not ripe at the same time. So everything's ripe. So when peaches are here, we may have a peach a day or peach every couple days, but then we also freeze it and do smoothies. So we still have our fruit from last year that we are working on with our smoothies every day.
Yeah.
And then the wine.
And so what it narrows down to, the only real sugars that we get that are not naturally occurring in the vegetables and things like that we eat is from our fruit. And it's only our fruit.
Yeah.
So we do not buy fruit. We have no reason or need or desire to buy fruit. We haven't for quite some time. But yeah, so and that's kind of where we're at this point. And again, we're low carb, not necessarily keto. So we're still getting probably 50 grams of carbohydrates in a day, and so the vast majority of that comes from that smoothie or consuming fruit. And it's always timing is important. It's always early in the day. So at 9 o'clock when we start eating, that's when the smoothie goes down, and that's when if we're going to consume any fruit, it's right then. And so those carbohydrates go in early in the day, and then we won't consume them after. So yeah. So you won't see us like munching down on fruit at dinner. It's not on the plate.
Yeah, no.
So what's on the plate though would be a vegetable. So we obviously squash. I'm a huge fan of squash, which has some carbohydrates in it, but not extensive. We'll do squash or salad. One of the things we found is cauliflower. Riced cauliflower is fantastic. You make an incredible mashed cauliflower that tastes just like mashed potatoes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and when you don't eat, maybe it's because we don't eat mashed potatoes, but I have no desire to eat mashed potatoes, but those taste fantastic.
Yeah. So it's dinner. It's some type of meat and vegetable. So we do the veggies at night. Lunch is usually leftovers from dinner, the night before. And then in the mornings, it's our smoothie. And I do have coffee after my smoothie in the morning.
Yep. So, but not much in the way of carbs there either. So we do a natural keto. What is it? Monk fruit. I think just a straight monk fruit. Yep. And half and half.
Yeah.
Yep. Got any last questions before we wrap up?
So we do. So and I see all you guys' comments. I'm not going to read all of them unless it's a question, just because we are getting down to the time. So do you think about netting your pears or quince, or it is time and money consuming?
Right. So the biggest thing is the tree would have to remain netted all summer, which is too much. So it's going to grow right through the netting, which can be a problem. So we would have to, it would be the individual fruit. I think we're to back to the question we just had about all the fruit. We're not as concerned now about animals getting to the fruit. So we got very few figs this year, and that was okay. So, we did still get some figs. We still ate some figs, which was plenty. So we aren't near as diligent about that. And the only trees that we net are the peaches, because we will not get anything if we don't net the peach trees. So, and the organza bags just don't do as good on peaches. So, yeah.
Last, I promise, what about honey in your diet?
Honey, so yeah, if we were going to do a sweetener, honey might be something to a small extent. But, we've had those bees back there now for over a year, and we have gotten no honey from that. So, but we wouldn't buy honey and put it in there. No. So, yeah, that's way too much sugar. So, I'll tell you what, you guys, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but what drove this is I got blood tests done in March, and my A1C was high. So, even though I was about 20 pounds overweight, what my typical weight is, I'm normally really thin, and I was about 20 to 25 pounds above that, and my A1C went high, and so that was like the final straw. Was okay, this isn't going to work, and I'm not going down that road. And so we did that, got the blood test back 6 months later, right back down to normal. So another reason, just we won't go back. So just not a reason to.
Even though, never mind, I'm not going to go there. All right, I think we're all cut up, and it is just after 3 o'clock.
Hey guys, that's awesome. So again, normally we would be doing this every Tuesday, but just want to thank you guys or every Saturday at 2 o'clock. I don't know what's going on. This needed to be the last one. So I just want to thank you guys. This will be our last episode for this year. We will be shutting down until January. So make sure you guys join us for that first Saturday in January at 2 o'clock. It'll be all about pruning at that point, but we'll have some updates, I'm sure, for you guys. One of the things that I know I've really enjoyed is we do this every week, and sometimes we're working and doing things right up to stepping in here. And so, it can be a little bit overwhelming to try to get here, but every time we're here, I enjoy this so much because we get a chance to spend some time with you guys. It feels like you're here with us. A lot of you guys are here every week, and we really appreciate that. And so we hope that you don't miss us too much here over the winter season, but we will be back. And I've said this many times, but one of the things that we do appreciate is the fact that you guys spend time with us. And the most valuable thing that we have here on the planet, it's not the things people consider valuable that is meaningless. It's time. That's a limited quantity for all of us. One of these days it runs out for us all. And you guys choose to spend this time with us. We do not take that for granted. This is one of the reasons why we do make sure we spend this time with you guys now and spend time with you guys in the comments and YouTube and all these other things. Is you guys spend that time with us. The least we can do is reciprocate. So we just want to thank you guys for being here, for joining us. We thank you for all of the wonderful memories you guys have given us this year during this podcast. It really has made us put our butts back down on this couch each week. And, so it'll be a little bittersweet not seeing you guys next week and for the next few weeks, but that'll just mean it'll be all that much sweeter, right? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, so that we see you guys come January.
Yeah.
So again, this was the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 40. I want to thank you guys again for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
So can you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Merry
Happy
Christmas.
New Year.
Happy New Year. See you next year.
Bye.